is here. Denise Lockwood, owner of Racine County Eye, the Daily Planet of Racine.
Good morning.
Great Caesar's Ghost. It's Denise Lockwood. I watch Superman every day, the TV series. Yeah, I watch it every day. I love it. And Perry White, every time I see Perry White, I think, well, that's Denise Lockwood sitting at that desk. Have to get out the Bulldog edition of the Daily. So that's a great metropolitan newspaper. That's how it's a great... Only 3 reporters there, only 3 people there. Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Clark Kent. That's it.
I get it. I get it.
And they put out a daily great metropolitan newspaper every day.
My dream has been fulfilled because now I have more staff than the Daily Planet.
The Daily Planet. Great Caesar's Ghost. Okay, big year in news?
Very big year in news. We were not for want of things to write about.
Let's talk about it. Let's see what you got here for this year so far.
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway was what did the federal government, making sense of a lot of change and how people were impacted. I think you've got a lot of development and, you've got the SNAP benefits and who's on Medicaid and just a lot of change and how people responded to it. At the end of the day, there was a government shutdown. Who would have thought that would be happening? You've got a lot
for so long.
Yeah. And you've also got massive amounts of change. So that was the big thing, was change, and a lot of it.
Is the big word for 2026 going to be insurance?
Yes, very much so. Insurance, well, and just to kind of frame it out. So in Racine County, and I'm a data girl, right? So there are 38,000 people who are on Medicaid currently in Racine County.
Now, Medicaid is the state version.
It's Badger Care.
Right, yeah. It's a state version of insurance. You don't have to be a senior to get it. You can be any age.
And actually... Of that 38,000 people, half of those people are children under the age of 18. You take that remaining half, you slice it into thirds. A third of that, the remaining half are people who are elderly, people who are disabled, and the other third are people who are of working age. And of that little sliver left of those people that are of working age, 70% of those people are already working.
Yeah, we don't want to confuse the Medicare. People see Medicaid, Medicare. It's different than Medicare. Totally.
Medicare is for people who are elderly.
It's a federal program.
Right. Both of them are federal
Did you have to say elderly?
Yes. Yes, sorry.
How about people over the age of 65?
65, yes. I'm sorry. I'm headed there myself, quite frankly.
Not everybody who's over 65 is elderly.
Yeah, I'll be the big 5'6" in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, here it comes. Wheelchairs, canes, and walkers are coming right in your...
Trying really hard not to have that.
I'll give you a walker for your birthday. Okay, so that's going to be the big word, insurance. And people are starting to panic a little bit now because January 1st, it can quadruple in what you're going to pay.
Right. Well, and a lot of that is, the credits, the ACA credits, which is the American Care Act credits, are expiring. That's what the big showdown was in the fall. And so one of these things, the impacts of this are a lot of small business owners were on Badger Care, which is Medicaid, but also they were buying also from the marketplace. And so that's going to impact Main Street. You're going to have an impact on people going without health insurance. And one of the things that's really interesting, Don Rosen, is I've noticed you've got 2 federally qualified healthcare centers that are going to be opening in 2026. One is a partnership with an outfit out of Milwaukee, and it's called Outreach, and they're opening on the Ascension campus. And then you also have Pillar Health. The community center and healthcare center is opening in the Lincoln King neighborhood, and those are federally qualified. So if you don't have health insurance, there's actually going to be places for you to go, which I thought was really compelling. It's like they knew this was coming.
But what happens when, God forbid, you need surgery?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be expensive.
Well, and I think the thing, if you are in a situation where you have to go to more of a high risk plan, or need to go without health insurance, God forbid, you need to make sure you're taking very good care of yourself. And I'm a big fan of that because I have congestive heart failure and all sorts of other goodies life dealt me. But pay attention to your health and wellness, because I think that's going to be a big topic that we're going to be writing a lot about, because Racine County Eye is focused on solutions-based journalism. So we are there in the fight for all of those things that we need to pay attention to with our bodies, right?
I was talking to a friend. He said, what did you do, back when you were a kid? Did your parents have health insurance? You didn't need it because the doctor, and this is Long Island money here we're talking about, it was $4 to visit the doctor. You just peel off $4 out of your wallet, and that was and if you had medication, it was $1.50, $2 to get. You didn't need insurance to pay for this stuff. Even the hospital stays weren't that expensive. So insurance wasn't, you go to the doctor today, it's $100 just to show your face at the door, and after that, they keep adding on. But for $4, I remember, and I think I may have mentioned this before, my mother took me to the doctor. I was a little kid, and the parents were screaming at the receptionist because they put up a sign said the visits will increase from $4 to $6 a visit.
That was a lot of money back then, perspective-wise, yeah.
Well, I wasn't born in the 1920s.
Okay.
But anyway, it was an outrage. How dare you charge $6 a visit? Yeah. Okay, so what are some of this? That's insurance. We're panicking enough about that.
Well, you had SNAP benefits. SNAP benefits is how we feed people who are not making enough money. And one of the things I think that was really interesting in how this played out here locally, because that's my lens, is you had a massive outpouring of people who said, oh, we don't want hungry people. We want to make sure people get fed. So I'm on the board for Rotary, and on Friday morning we hosted the breakfast at our space in Bell City, and Stephanie Skilba, the head of the Racine County Food Bank, was there. So she was talking about the number of people they're serving is at a higher level. But she said that they're making it work and being able to respond to that. She said they were feeding about 5,700 people every month. And so there's about 197,000 people in Racine County. So just to put that in perspective.
When I see these police shows and they stop somebody, especially a woman bothers me, and they say, well, what's your address? My address is this car.
Right.
I want to cry. I mean, you live in your car. And they're like older women. She said, I have nowhere to go. I can't get a job at my age. I don't have the skills for it. I was married all my life. My husband passed away, and now I don't have anything. I live in my car. My clothes are in the back seat, and I, wash up at gas stations and convenience stores. And don't you want to cry when you hear something like that?
I turned to journalism. So I want to make sure that people understand what's at work here. And so, yes, do I want to cry? Yes, I do, because I'm a human being first, journalist second. But at the end of the day, I also want to make sure that people are aware of these community conversations, because oftentimes we hear about these federal policies and we don't understand how they impact us. Okay. So just to kind of frame out a couple of different buckets of story that we are very much in the thick of it, is how are people going to be okay and be fed and work and things along that line, especially with a lot of manufacturing companies that are specifically focused on producing things that are made out of steel. They're having issues logistically with getting steel. And I'm hearing about a couple of companies in Racine that are laying people off because they can't get the steel. And so that's creating some other pressure as well. We're paying attention to the unemployment rate. We're also paying attention to places like Halo and Hospitality Center. Hospitality Center, we just wrote a story last week about how they want to move about a block and a half. And that's getting some pushback from the city that says...
North or south they want to move?
Just south. They want to go to the old YWCA.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. And so that particular particular space is formerly a church. And so the folks at Hospitality Center are saying, well, it's already zoned for faith-based support for community services.
Is that the one right across from the courthouse?
Yes.
My wife was just there for a Christmas show last week.
Well, actually, that's First. You might be talking about First Presbyterian, which is right next door. It's the old YWCA.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Denise Lockwood, founder, Racine County Eye, joining me this morning, talking about the year in review, what's coming up, what's been happening, development. Now, I want to talk about that big thing that's going on there in Mount Pleasant that started years ago, and it's gone nowhere. I mean,
it pivoted. It pivoted.
I know,
it took
but
a little dance.
That was supposed to be the God savior. Billions and billions of jobs coming in, and all we got was that round little dome.
Okay, so I'm the nerd who reads all the developers agreements and the construction permit, all of that kind of stuff. So there are some that did happen. The Globe happened. Some warehouses happened. But
it wasn't what they said it was going to be.
It definitely was not what was said. So I just always want to qualify because I'm a reality girl, right? And so at the end of the day, Microsoft purchased a good chunk of that property. They've been building. They paused in the beginning of the year, and then they reset, and now they're gangbusters in building the data center. I know personally of a lot of people who are now hired by Microsoft, and they are actually looking at several other sites for new data centers. And there was one that was proposed in Caledonia, but that didn't fly. And you know what? I think the biggest thread when I look back at 2025 is the truth telling and how people are very keyed in to understanding how things impact them. So it's been a very interesting news year from that perspective as well. We shifted from politics to in 2024, but now we are focused on the policy of what does it mean to us, and then 2026 we're going to see the reality of these policies come into play and see what does this really mean to me at the end of the day. But Microsoft, we got more grocery stores, we got Woodman's, and now we're going to get a Myers, and you've got just a lot. There was a ownership change of Festival Foods, a lot of grocery store news.
Yeah, that got because Festival Foods was Wisconsin owned.
Right.
It was Wisconsin. Now it's not anymore.
And don't ask me who bought it because buried deep in the Denise filing cabinet.
Yeah, but it's not a Wisconsin company now.
No, I don't think
Festival Foods is a good food store. I love their deli. I mean, it's really a nice, well-run chain of food stores. I just hope it remains that well-run chain of food stores.
Me too.
You never know. They get that big shopping cart in the 4th of July parade every year.
Well, and then you've got a commitment now from Foxconn to do more AI.
Is Foxconn still involved in anything here?
Yes, they are.
It's not like they vanished.
They're not super media accessible. That is one thing that when they came on to the stage of Wisconsin, they are not very media accessible, but also one of the things, so you have to understand what Foxconn is, and it'll make sense. So Foxconn is an electronics contract manufacturer. So they don't actually dream it, design it, do it. They're the do it people. So the phones that we have, the TV screens, they make the stuff, right? And they contract with different companies to do that.
They bought the bank building, the BMO Bank thing on Main Street, and the bottom floor was being renovated to be a welcome center. That was 2.5 years ago. You know what's still there now? Wood and the sawhorses. You know, that's never happened. 2.5 years, all those great plans, and out the window.
And that kind of speaks to the trust issue that we have when these developments come.
Remember,
right?
Governor Walker was digging the hole with Donald Trump. The 8th wonder of the world, right. Foxconn.
Yeah.
Where is it now?
Well, and that is going to be something we're going to follow extensively.
See, they got you on their tail. It's like a pit bull, not letting go, like a little chihuahua. We're not letting go.
I'm a nice one.
Yeah, you're a little chihuahua.
I'm your favorite pain.
You're hanging out to that pants leg, and you won't let go.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be the savior now with these jobs that we're talking about?
Microsoft? Okay. So let's try to kind of zoom out because these data centers are not employment heavy facilities. We're talking maybe a couple hundred people. However, what it does do is it's going to shift. You've got a massive investment from Microsoft into the data AI economy. And we have to, and I'm going to underscore this, have to pay attention to this shift. And here's why. Is the Racine County, when you look at demographics of education, in the city of Racine, 1 out of every 6 people doesn't have a GED. Okay. This is a massive problem. And when we talk about the economic viability of how people attain jobs and be able to pivot, that's going to be an issue. And Microsoft knows this, right? So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of investment in Parkside and Gateway. And you've got this conversation and also a development of AI tools and apps is a big thing right now. In fact, I don't know if I'm ready to say that because that's not an official thing, but you're going to see a lot more investment, I think, with Microsoft.
Don't you wish AI was around when you went to school?
No, I wouldn't have thought.
You know, I remember going to the library to copy out of the Encyclopedia Britannica because the encyclopedias we had were from 1939. And, you know, World War II hadn't started yet. My mother said, well, you got encyclopedias here. Yes, but they never heard of World War. It was the Great War.
No, we did not have encyclopedias. However, I friended my friend next door. She had encyclopedias. So I slept over to her house specifically so that I could.
Well, my mother got me the little golden book encyclopedias. That doesn't go over well when you're in high school.
Right.
So I had one teacher that said to me, you can copy out of the encyclopedia, but you better footnote at the bottom of the page where you got that paragraph from, and then it's okay.
Right.
But it better
Attribution.
not be. Yeah, but it better not be all from the encyclopedia. But if you take a paragraph out, let me know where you got it from, and there's no problem. Right. Today, how can they tell if you're getting an AI or a chat GPT
There's tools.
thing?
There are tools for that.
Oh,
however, this is one of the things that I also want.
Well, hold that thought.
Okay.
We're going to talk about cheating in school.
Cheating in school.
Remember that thought. Denise Lockwood, not that you did.
Okay.
There were other people other than you. Denise Lockwood, founder of Racine County Eye, is here this morning.
So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit and then kind of circle back on why local news is really important right now. Because AI, and I don't think people are aware of this. So at the national level, you've got all of these news websites, and they all get the same press releases or executive orders, and they write about a lot of the same things, right? They might have a little different nuance or a little different take, but that's what they do. And AI has kind of hijacked a lot of that audience. And so a lot of these news websites at the national level are seeing a big impact in their audiences disintegrating. And so with local news, we don't have a lot of people that are doing the same things we are because they may not have, 20 people that are going to go to the municipal government and county government. And so AI doesn't impact us as much as it does at the national level. So I see a big impact from AI on the news, which is one of the reasons why Racine County Eye is focused on more community engagement and really trying to kind of get people to talk to each other and noodle things out and ask bigger, better questions, right? So, and we're doing this in a couple of different ways. We've got some things called Made in Racine, which is a monthly event that we're going to start back up in February about history and things, civic engagement and pride, right? And how we dealt with things and how we're dealing with things and where we're going. And so that's one of the things that we're really focused on for 2026. The other thing, the elephant in the middle of the room, is the midterm elections, right? But you also have the local elections, and we really need to pay attention to these. I'm going to beat that drum pretty consistently. And the reason why is because as these federal policies take root and filter down from the feds to the state, to the counties, to the local governments, you're going to have a lot of pressure on the importance and relevance of how we deal with problems. Now, I do not care how people vote. What I do care about is that we have really strong understanding of what our community purpose and political will is in policy making. And that's an entirely different lens, right? So why we are doing a lot of these in-person conversations is to really talk to people about what's important to them, what their challenges, their successes, what do they see as a successful community, and really threading that through our decision making when we talk about what stories to write. So that's why local news is where we need to be right now.
And and we're very lucky to have Racine County Eye in this station because nobody does local news anymore. It's too expensive.
It is hard.
It's expensive. You got to have real news people in there.
Yep.
Who know how to write a story, who know how to get a story, know what's important.
And funds it. So it cost me about $500,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When I first got started in radio, we had, let's say, 6 full-time newscasters in our radio station. Plus, we belonged to the Long Island Radio Network. They had about 6. And everything was based on local news. Now you have the big New York City stations doing their news. But on Long Island, we were it.
Right.
Nobody else did local news. And so that's how we became what we are. And I think that's why WRJN's still around for 99 years, because we still do local news, and like we're doing now, we're
Those
talking.
Community conversations are so important, and one of the things that, like, even at the federal level, on those races that are pertaining to the first congressional district and the state level races, you're going to have some pretty interesting pieces. And one of the things that we're watching right now is the filing of papers at the state level with like Robin Voss and Van Wangard. Are they going to run again?
We had one of the people running against Van Wangard in here. Trevor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was in here. And I said, well, who's your opponent? He said, nobody yet.
Yep.
Nobody filed yet to run it, for the office.
And that's a lot of institutional knowledge to lose. We have really, Racine County has benefited from having that influence that because Robin is the Speaker of the House, right? So he tends to set the tone for a lot of policy making that Republicans do. And so you can love or hate whatever that is, but that's the reality is that Racine County has enjoyed that influence in state.
But we got a major of the governor.
Right.
Not running again.
Right.
And so we had one of the candidates in the building. He wasn't on this station. He was on our other station in the building, WAUK. But, that's a big job. The governor's coming up. And if you have Republican assembly and state senate, and you have a Democratic governor, nothing's going to get done. It just doesn't. And if you have the opposite way, nothing's going to get done. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
It's going to be interesting. That's all I will say.
And they just found one of the judges guilty the other day.
That was in a Milwaukee County judge, right? Judge Dugan. And there's going to be some really interesting conversations about how the other big thing that the state legislation, the Democrats just proposed doing away with property taxes.
Well, I just paid my property tax bill on Friday.
I don't know that that's going to fly. Like, I seriously have some questions about what that. But I think there's.
Well, how do they plan to pay for fire, police, garbage collection, road construction?
Income tax on the rich.
Okay, that's fine then. I don't have a problem.
I mean, there's. I think one of the things that we need to start really asking is some of these fundamental questions of who pays for insurance? Who pays for health care? Who pays for, because the question of who pays for insurance and who pays for health care are two very different questions.
Well, how do all the other countries in the world deal with it? Canada pays for it. How do they pay for it?
But that's such a fundamental piece. But one of the things that I am, and I want to kind of give some light at the end of the tunnel, because I see some really good community conversations around these federally qualified healthcare centers. That's going to make a huge difference, because instead of paying $150 a visit, it's going to be anywhere from like $5 to $40 a visit. So that has a huge impact on somebody's health and well-being, that if you don't have insurance, where do you go? And but we need to be aware of it. We need to really keep that mindset that we need to keep taking care of ourselves, right? But it's hard.
Now, I want to tell people, you do not get your news from Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. You don't get that's not where you get your news from. That's where you might get opinion from, but you don't get news from those sources. Because I talk to people, no, listen for the news. I get them from Facebook. You don't get news from Facebook. You get opinion from Facebook. That's what you get, people's opinions.
You get reactions.
Yeah, get reactions to the stories. And people claim facts in there that just aren't true.
Well, another thing is...
And you can't argue with them because,
Well, Facebook also deprecated the news. So what that means at the end of the day is, instead of your news feed being the Racine County Eye stories, it's gone. That news tab is gone.
We have a comedian we run here, Brian Regan. He says something amazing happened today. Somebody actually changed a mind of somebody on social media.
Wow.
They were arguing.
Wow.
I see your point. I am now officially changed. Denise Lockwood joining me now. She is from Racine County Eye. She's been here for a while, and now we're going to wrap it up with a few discussions. Join or die. What is that about?
So at the Golden Rondelle a few months ago, there was a community event, and they showed parts of a documentary called Join or Die. And it was based on the research by a fellow, and I'm going to botch this, and I apologize because I have not had coffee yet this morning, Don Rosen. It was based on the work of a fellow that had written a book called Bowling for One. And it's funny because Robin Voss and I were talking, and he actually recommended that book to me, and that's definitely on my Christmas list. So Mr. Denise needs to buy me that book. Anyway, so it's the concept of why we are so at odds with each other. And it was really the whole entire theater at the Golden Rondelle was packed, okay? And there was a lot of groups that were represented there. One of them was a group that I belong to, which is Rotary, okay? And it's a lot of how disconnected we really are versus what we think we are on social media. And there's a big movement that's taking place in Racine County to really encourage more civic engagement, community conversation, knowing your neighbors, things along that line. And so Rotary is really stepping up, and we're going to have an expo at the end of January to really connect people with volunteer opportunities and to show up and solve the problem, because at the end of the day, we do not get the community we want if we stay hunkered down on just social media, right? We may tell ourselves that, but it's not the truth. And there's a lot of data around that of how connected we are through local news, through actively participating in community discussions, which is why Racine County Eye is also kind of setting the table for more of that to happen in our brand new space. And so I think that's really important as we think about 2026 of how we navigate politics and policy and purpose. And you can tell I'm a deep thinker. These are the things that keep me up at night.
Even without coffee.
I know, even without coffee.
You know what really breaks my heart?
What?
The people I was talking to at our church and stuff, their biggest disappointment is having to meet with families this holiday season, because politics just
huge.
They tore the families apart. I said, well, there were 3 things you can't discuss in mixed company at holiday parties. You can't discuss religion, politics, and the amount of Christmas music to play on the radio because nobody will agree on it. People get violent about those three topics.
Gotcha. Okay, we're throwing hands on the Christmas music.
One of the guys was telling me he just dreads having to meet with the family because he's got half the Trump people and he got the Democratic people, and they fight. And you can't. I said the best way to get out of it, I read, was just say, interesting point. By the way, how's that new job going? Change the topic. Yeah, pivot out of that topic.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult because people get so rabid when you start discussing politics, and he shouldn't do it at a holiday party, family party.
Right.
Because you're tearing the family apart.
Right. And, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, though, to have that shared knowledge be the rock that we kind of cling to. And when I say shared knowledge, I'm not saying you like the pain that people are going through, because there's a lot of struggle that's going to happen probably over the next year as we see what happens with specifically healthcare and access to food that we can afford, access to food that a lot of food desert. We don't understand the impact that has not only on our health and wellness, but also in our capacity to learn, right? And that's a whole nother subject for another show. But when we are not seeing each other's struggles, the humanity of where we are, and looking through the lens. So here's an example of what I oftentimes see on my Facebook page is that, people don't want to work. And somebody might be working 2-3 jobs, just trying to stay afloat. Or they're saying, wait, if I've got 2 kids, that's $2,000 to $3,000 a month out of a paycheck that I'm not getting that to pay off. So I'm going to choose to not be part of the workforce, and not seeing the whole picture. And I want to encourage people to do that, especially as we get together over the next week or so and seeing the humanity of where we're at. So that's my love and peace kind of message.
Let's talk about Racine County Eye. Big year for you.
Huge.
Because you moved into new digs and it looks beautiful.
You have not been by yet.
No, I get lost in that little area there. And I have a friend of mine who works in the coffee shop there.
Inclusive Bean.
Inclusive Bean, yeah, if somebody works there.
One of my favorite places.
And I've been there before. There was an art place there we went to once. And so I've seen it. I'm not that far away from it either. I should stop by and see the new digs. And you hired more people too, right?
We did.
Look at you.
Yeah.
This will be the Daily Planet before you know it. More reporters
we already
than Daily
are
Planet.
the Daily Planet, right?
So more. So what's in news? What's in store for the Racine County Eye in 2026?
So this is the Denise dream for next year. Is I want to hire 2 more reporters, but we have to make money to do that. So we're going to be doing a lot more fundraising. But I want to hire a government accountability reporter. I want to hire a business and tech reporters to really dig into how we're using AI, how we're using AI in education and policy making around that. So those are the Denise dreams. So, but we also have slated, we're probably about 9 years ago, we did a video series called Black Men Speak. And we're going to bring that back. But it's going to be kind of imagined. We're going to call it Black Racine Speaks. And the reason why is because as federal policy shifts and we defund a lot of the diversity, equity, and inclusion programming, I want to give, I think it's really important that we hear and see where people are, not where we think they are, right? And I think that's really important as we connect through story. And so Art Howell, shout out to the retired police chief, said to me, you need to bring this back. And when he talks, I listen.
Are we supposed to be afraid of AI or supposed to embrace AI or just keep our eye on it?
I think it is all of the above. I think you have to be really focused on critical thinking in AI. And it's only as good as the question you ask it.
You know, when I go to Google now, and I ask a question, the AI thing pops up.
That's what I was talking about
and
earlier.
I got news for you. I love it.
Of course you do.
It gives me, I give it the most minor information. Like last night I couldn't think of this song. And I said, British singer shot a video with the Beatles. And they came up with the song, Ellen Shapiro.
Right.
And I said, the most limited information. And it's, oh, here's the song.
And if you do the same with a news topic, it avoids my website, of which I...
Why?
Because it doesn't take traffic to my website. So that's how I monetize my site, is by gathering audience, right?
Yeah.
That's what I do. And so the way that we fund journalism also has to shift, which is one of the reasons why we will still not be behind a paywall. But if you are so inclined to support local journalism, now is your time, friends. And so I think you've got some challenges that we need to acknowledge, that this is going to change things, much like a lot of other types of technology has. But we also know how to do that change, but we have to be prepared for it, right? So that's why we're going to do a lot of stories around education and AI. And so if you are so inclined to fund my work, our work, this is one of those moments where we really do need you to step up and pay for journalism.
Thanks for coming in for the hour.
Thanks for having me, friend.
I love having you here.
I am so grateful for this relationship and the partnership that we have with WRJN.
Yeah, when Stuart gives a headline story or a small story, he always says, dig deeper in Racine County Eye. And that's
love
good.
that.
Yeah, and give the website.
Racine County Eye, UIE.com. Yeah.